G'day trendsetters, Greg here from Fishplate Films, and welcome back to episode 22 of the BNSF Birdwood Sub. Well, it's been a while between drinks, hasn't it? It's that bad that I had to walk through these trees here. They weren't here last time. And the door's all overgrown with cobwebs and crap. Goodness me. Anyway, been trying to finish the house, you know how it is. And I'm afraid this is the only scenery you're going to get. Australian bottle brush, yeah. But we have finished the fascia on the lower level, and we've done some industrial track work, so let's go and have a look at that. And a few other little surprises, so I'll work my way through the scrub and we'll get back into the layout. Right, we're inside again. Whew, through all that cobwebs and stuff. Now I've done all the fascias around the lower edge of the layout, pretty much done. And you can see here all these screws. We'll just zoom in here a little bit. We go the right way. Now behind here, when I'm doing fascias, I like to do them like you're laying track. Try to get them as smooth as possible. Now there's a join here, all these screws will be coming out. There's a block of ply in here, probably about yo big, and that gives you a nice smooth join for the bits of hardboard here. And all these screws will come out and it'll be sanded and filled in. You won't see the joint. Now, if you're using NCE throttles, like these, don't go and spend money on plastic holders. Just get a couple of, these are nylon coated hooks, and you screw them in, give a little bit of play there. I forget what the measurement is, 67 mil or whatever, but anyway, have it, and then you can just chuck them in line. Now, the beauty of having these instead of a plastic coupler pocket, you don't have to put them in like this, like the normal plastic coupler pocket, you know, you've got to put them in, so when you're holding the throttle like that, you have to sort of put it out like that and stick it in, but when you, like this, trendsetters, you got your throttle, blah, 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 controlling, straight in, one hand, beautiful, just like my love life. That's the way, and you get heaps of them for pretty little money. That's the way to go, trendsetters. Now you can see another thing, if you can try and get all your curves where there's no joints, you can see with this nice little S-band coming through here. If you can, now I know you use a little bit more hardwood doing it, but it's a much better job in the end. Try and get your joins on the straights. Now this one here, where we just had a look at before where that coupler pocket was, it's only got about a foot of straight, and then it goes around, curves around the other way. If you can get all your joins there, then your fascia is going to look much better. Now remember, you look down on your fascia because your scenery comes to the fascia. So you're really looking down on the top of it, and it stands out a lot more than what you think, I reckon. So if you can get your edge of your fascia almost as good as your track work, trendsetters. Not quite as good as the track work on the Birdwood Sub, but I'll let you go with that one. Now what I've done along this section here, this is the section next to the walkway here that I like to call the water level route, because it's one of the few sections on the layout that are level for quite a while. So you walk along here where you're right up next to it. So what I've done is put the fascia about 20 mil above the track here. So there'll be like a little bit of an embankment going down here. So that's to stop, if you do walk along, your arm is going to be above the track, and if you do hit something, well, it's not too bad, and really you'd have to be really trying. So the fascia here gradually goes up, and it's about, it'll be about 25, about an inch above track level here. And that goes along all the way down to the other end. Okay, same deal here, trendsetters, with a straight there, and there's a join there. You can actually see some of the glue that's come out there. I've taken the screws out of here, so that'll be sanded off. And then we zip up around the corner here. I'm actually quite proud of my fascia work trendsetters. I know it doesn't look much, but it's very smooth. Now there we have an S-band there. Now you'll see there, or should I say, where are we? There is another join, so that's right on the straight. That one was pretty well on the verge. That's probably got about 10 inches of straight in it there, and you can see the block of wood behind it there. Right there. So that's the block of wood behind that does the support and keeps it straight. And then that breaks off straight into another curve. Now my recommendation is to use the hardboard, or we call it masonite over here. Try not to use MDF, it's nasty stuff and it really is bad for you, and the hardboard is much better in my opinion. It's also more environmentally friendly hardboard trendsetters, and MDF is basically nasty stuff, especially when you're cutting it. Now of course trendsetters, these hooks don't work with this little cab throttle, what's to say, Cab 06 NC throttle, but you can just sit it there like that. But I don't think I'll be buying any more of these. You know, they're not a bad throttle, but they're about $80 cheaper than the full-on one down here. It's about $100 probably cheaper. But I like to be able to see what speed step my locomotive's at. That way I know when to notch up and notch down, and how far to take it when I'm operating. And that's something I'll talk about. I'll do a video on how to actually drive your locomotives realistically, not only after you program your tsunamis for realistic operation. There's a way to driving them so they're more realistic too. And forget about all the DD stuff and full throttle and all that crap. I mean, that's all very well and good if you don't like to be in control of your locos, where I like to be in control. That's why I'm not married. So, and also on the subject of, you know, dynamic digital exhaust with Tsunami 2 and full throttle with NCE, it's the same thing. And the WOW thing, whatever they got, that's all fine if all your locomotives are equipped with that. If you buy a new locomotive with a, put a new Tsunami 2 in it, or lock sound or whatever with all these other fandangle bloody features, it's only going to work with that locomotive. The rest of the ones in your consist, if they're an older Dakota, like a Tsunami 1 or whatever, they're not going to operate, they're not going to notch up and down automatically. So for me, I don't bother with that stuff. With my Tsunami 2s, I disabled the dynamic digital exhaust, which is the same as full throttle or whatever you want to call it. It comes disabled, which is good. So I like to be in control. So it's all very nice having these things ramp up and down automatically, but it's only going to be the locomotive that has that Dakota in it. So if you have a consist, 3 or 4 locomotives or whatever, if they're not the newer Dakotas, they will not do what the lead one does. So there you go. So something to think about. No, but it is pretty cruisy to hear a loco notching up and down as it goes around the layout, blah, 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 but, you know, not for me. So, with these, it's got a digital display on here, but it only gives you the loco number. It doesn't give you the throttle step. So, for me, you know, I think I won't be buying any more of them. I'll be spending more money on the big ones. But anyway, when you're cutting your things out for your, what are these, UTPs, whatever they are, panels, make sure there's nothing behind. Like I did. Twice. Look. Twice. Am I going to go through a red light here or what? Oh no, lucky. Yeah, I didn't quite follow the 6 P's here, did I, trendsetters? Cut a hole there. Oops. There's some track there, or hardboard there, whatever you call it. Spaceboard, you know, where the choo-choos run, in there. So I thought I'll go below it, and I hit something else. So that's why it's over here. So yeah, double check before you cut holes. Oh, also another thing, when you're cutting this and the other stuff that I said not to use, what's it called? MDF. I use a fine multi-cutter, you know, those little beautiful multi-tool or whatever. Buy a fine one, don't buy the Chinese shit. Go spend a few extra, you know, bucks and buy a German fine one. Made in Germany. They're the first company to make a portable tool. There you go, portable electric tool. Whatever. The dust that it creates, because they're cutting so fine, whether this be this or MDF or whatever, will get everywhere. And I cut these out, I couldn't get a train to run in there. It coats the rail and this becomes a super insulator. So, what you do, I've even got my vacuum cleaner here from when I was using it last time, well, there's a train. Oh. The Walthers SD70 ACe, very nice, going very nice. I just wish they were detailed. The sound is getting better and better. You can hear that sound at that setting. I've said it before. It's on about 80 out of 255. So there you go. Vacuum cleaner. I have this clamped here, right there like that. And as I cut around there, it's sucking all the stuff in. So do that or you'll have all sorts of dramas, because this stuff, the hardboard and the MDF the same, when you're using one of those little multi-tools, they cut so fine, the dust is incredible. All right, let us move on. Now this curve around here, trendsetters, right where we are coming up there now, is very sharp. Now one thing you can do with hardboard that you can't do with MDF, right there, is you can soak it in water, trendsetters. The old carpenters and furniture builders trick years and years ago. You can get this stuff, soak it in, they say warm water, but I tried warm water and then I just used tap water, and soak it in there for an hour, a couple of hours, and then you can slowly bend it, you can almost bend it back on itself. But this curve here is, I reckon, it's more than probably an 18-inch radius just here. And I could have bent that twice as sharp as that. But you get it absolutely saturated and the stuff just stays together. So that's another reason to choose this over MDF, I feel. Now the other thing with those SD70 ACes with the Walthers Tsunami sound, I remember I said before when I was doing the review on that, they're a hybrid, they're not a full Tsunami decoder. They're made by Tsunami and they have a lot of the features, but they don't have all the features. They do not have a dynamic brake feature that I can find. So that's why the SD70 ACe was still, it's on notch 3 or 4, and the SD40-2 was in dynamics, because for the love of me, I cannot find. I looked through the manuals and I'm pretty sure, if someone knows, let me know, but as far as I can see, the Walthers Tsunami decoder does not have dynamic brakes. There's a few other features it doesn't have either. So if you're going to buy one of them, I would suggest you buy a non-sound version and put in the decoder of your choice, trendsetters. Now, this is the only joint out of all the fascias, trendsetters, on the layout, on the bottom level, that I had to put a joint in on the curve. Because I've gone 8 foot from that other join that we saw in the other corner there, and this is as far as we got. So what I did, trendsetters, is quite a bit involved. Behind here is 3 bits of ply, about this long, and they're actually cut on this curve. So they're actually like a template. So imagine, something like this, but it's cut on a curve, and they were screwed to each side and glued, and while the ply was straight and then it was bent around. So behind there is a little bit of a kink in it, but it's pretty darn good. We'll have a look on the top. But they're actually about that wide, so they go in this way and they're cut on a curve, scraps of ply. So you can see there where the curve, I didn't get the curve exactly right there, but that's about as close as I could get it. I actually flattened it down a little bit there. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Right, a lot of you have asked for some wiring tips and to show you how I wire my layout. Well, you ever been to a plumber's house and seen his taps? you don't want to see electricians wiring. Maybe one day. But here's a quick thing. Feeder wise, so bus here, this is 2.5 mil. That works out about 13 gauge. This stuff's good for 25 amps AC. And these are only really small. You're only running, milliamps to your track at a certain section. You've got a few locos. A loco draws about 60 milliamps. I think the Katos draw about 100 milliamps stalled and about 80 milliamps wheel slip, I think. So even 4 locos on a Consist, what are you drawing? Not even half an amp, 400 milliamps at the most. This cable here is good for about, I think, 1 amp, and it's twisted, and also your bus wire is twisted as well. Just make an effort to put some sort of twist in it. But as far as all the connections to the bus, I just twist them and solder them. I know a lot of you use those clips. To me, they cost money, and once you get a sharp little knife in here and you've done a few of these, you can do them reasonably quickly. But of course, it's up to you what you want to do. But to me, those clips are a point of failure. And unless they're clipped in properly, okay, they're quick and easy. But for me personally, I prefer to twist them and solder them. And if you're going to do a join, do both tracks. So that way you only have to strip one bit of cable, and of course stagger them too, so you don't have any solder problems or short circuit problems. And as far as how many feeders per section of track, these 2 feeders here do about 4 or 5 meters of track, I guess. So about five lengths, and they're all soldered. That's one continual piece of rail. And I don't see the point having any more feeders on a continual length of rail, because the rail itself is probably good for 30 amps, being a solid bus itself. So that's just my opinion, trendsetters. But on jointed rail, I have a feeder every 3 lengths of rail. So there'll be every 3 lengths of rail roughly. But on soldered curves, only 1 per curve, and I don't have any problems, trendsetters. But of course, it's up to you. But if you want to save some money on the clips, that's how I do it. Now, we've finally finished the track work to the biodiesel plant. So this is stuck in the hole underneath the peninsula, I guess. And it was a bit of a bugger to lay track in, but it's a good use of space. But I went a bit berserk with the timber work, and a lot of the stuff I don't need, like all this here, I realised I just could have put a beam straight across and not have this, so I had to work with all this sort of arrangement. But anyway, it's all good, mate, it's all good. So that'll have a train going into it shortly, and we can do an op session from there, bring some tankers around and some box cars with the potassium hydroxide in them, and tankers with the ethanol and veggie oil and all that sort of jazz. Now you can see I've put it up on ply here, raised it up. This is the original level. Now I didn't quite calculate it properly to get over a grade here, so it worked out that I could just put this on and it was nice and level. But it's actually not a bad idea, because if I want to put a bunding tank in here, or bunding tanks in here, they can be sunk down, and then the rest of the ground can be built up. It's always easier to build stuff up, trendsetters, than to build and dig stuff out. You can hear that is set at about, I think it's 75 to 80 out of 255. The SD40-2, I haven't adjusted that even lower yet. As I said, I'm going through and turning my locos down even further, and almost to the point where you cannot hear them at the other end of the layout. And just give it a try, and at first you'll think they're too soft, but then all the little sounds will come out, and what you get, I'm not saying you get a Doppler effect, but you definitely get a better feel of a loco arriving and passing you, because the sound is so much quieter and it sort of sneaks up on you and goes away. Just give it a try. You'll be pleasantly surprised. And your horns, you know, you'll have to turn the horns down because they'll be too loud, because they're not fighting over the prime mover noises. So give it a go. Turn them right down. Go crazy, trendsetters. Crazy. Now, trendsetters, do not fall off your chair. That is a laptop, the old Batmobile, as I used to call it. And it's been relegated down to the layout now. And it does have Dakota Pro on it. Yes. And there you can see my wonderful wiring. This is why I don't show people my wiring, trendsetters. This is my super duper neat command center with the booster up the top and the brain box, or the command station in the middle there, and connected with the DB9 or serial link port to USB on the computer. Make sure you get a good one of these, because I bought one and the driver was no good. You have to load the software for them, and you need a good one, a good quality one. And there we go, we can see some locos on the rest there. Now, I'm not going to be getting into Dakota Pro to program my locos. You know that I prefer to do it on the main with a cab throttle, but I do like the idea of using Dakota Pro to do the sounds, because adjusting the EQs and all that sort of thing on the cabs is quite annoying, because you have to go back into the CVs and you forget what the other sound is like. So comparing sounds, I think Dakota Pro is very good. It's also good for if you have to do big speed table changes, which I will have to do with my new Tsunami 2s, because they don't have the speed table that I use. They've taken the loadable speed tables out. I think they've only got 2 or 3 in there now, not the one that I use. So I have to mimic the speed table that I use all my locos through all the 28 speed steps, and I must say that will be much easier on Dakota Pro. So there you go. So I bet you never thought you'd see that, trendsetters. The old Birdwood Sub hooked up to a computer. Whew, that is a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Don't worry, all that wiring will be cleaned up, and I'm getting some circuit breakers and some short circuit lamps, I guess you'd call them. We'll do that. I'm doing a bit of a wiring thing on DCC signaling, on how to wire your layout for block detection, and that'll be coming up, when I say soon, you know, in the next 3 or 4 years. No, hopefully a lot sooner than that. And to show you how to prepare your layout, not for actually wiring for block signaling, but to get your track wiring ready for it. And also with some short circuit protection for our layout, which I don't have any. You know, a mechanic's car, they always drive a heap of crap, right? Well, when you combine an electrician and a signal electrician to wire a layout, it's not a good idea. I get enough of it at work. So it goes. That's all. I mean, look at this. You know, it's bad. It's bad, but it's reliable, trendsetters. It may look like crap, but it's reliable because all the joins are good. But anyway, we'll cover that in the next. Well, not layout up there. We're going to do a special one on wiring your layout for the onslaught of DCC block signaling and CTC. It's not cheap, you know, and it's a lot of work. But if you're building a new layout and you're thinking, well, one day I wouldn't mind some, you know, signals flashing on and off, there's a few simple things you can do when you're wiring your layout initially. It'll make it a lot easier down the track. Even if you don't do it, it'll still make it a lot easier. So anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode of 22, as Richie Beno would say, of the BNSF Birdwood Sub. So, can actually use this as a throttle. That was pretty cool. Although I still prefer my walk-around throttles. But yeah, I think that'll do us for this one. So I'm afraid, yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry about that. Anyway, not to worry. We will see you on our next update very, very soon, as Benny Hill would say. All right, thanks for watching. Hooroo for now. Bye-bye. Signaling in. Beautiful.